In the spring of the second year of Zhenyuan, Lu Changeng was to marry. On the eve of his grand wedding, he stayed in my palace, taking me over and over again, insatiable and fierce. Wanwan, be good, give me a little more time. When all this is over, I will marry you. But Lu Changeng did not know that I had no time left. The next day, he carefully helped the Marquis's daughter onto the city gate, and they performed the imperial heaven worship ceremony for the emperor and empress, while my demon core shattered and spiritual power completely lost, died on the most peaceful and joyful day in Shengjing, 01. The day Lu Changeng brought Jiyu Jinyang back, I had been kneeling in the snow for 7 days and 7 nights. They walked in hand, slowly towards the courtyard. Lu Changeng, tall and straight, took off his cloak and gently fastened it on Jiyu Jinyang. Jiyu Jinyang, soft and tender, looked at him with a smile in her eyes and brushed the snowflakes off the tip of his hair for him. The snow lay thick, the frost and cold were bitter, yet a warm aura surrounded them that no one else could penetrate. Jiyu Jinyang turned her head and saw me kneeling in the courtyard, her beautiful face paling with shock as she cried out, "Your Highness, what kind of monster is this?" She wore a white fur coat woven with soft hair and inlaid with gold, on which the hidden pattern of hundreds of butterflies flitting among flowers rippled with the flowing light, setting off her noble and extraordinary bearing. I lowered my eyes and looked at myself. Human torso, snake tail, several scales broken, flesh and blood gushing from the wounds, grotesque and ugly, truly a monster. Lu Changeng frowned, a trace of complexity flashing across his face, and said to me in a cold voice, "You step down first." After a pause, he added, "Take human form. Do not frighten Jinyang." I nodded, channeling my last wisp of spiritual power to barely hold my human form, and stumbled towards the inner courtyard. The snow was freezing cold, and I walked on bare feet, yet my steps were hasty. I could not tell if it was relief at finally being free from the suffering in the snow, or an urgent desire to escape this stinging sight. On the way back to my room, the maids sweeping the ground whispered behind their hands, "Has your Highness finally let that demon pet get up? An ordinary person would have died in this weather. Demons are truly formidable. Stop talking. I heard this demon even ate people on the battlefield. Watch out, she swallows you too." I do not eat people, nor am I Lu Changeng's demon pet. I am a green snake who cultivated in Chilling Mountain for 500 years, Lu Changeng's betrothed wife. Lu Changeng said the world held prejudice against demons, so before he ascended the throne, I had to wrong myself to stay by his side under this title. When he seized the world, he would vindicate me and make me his empress. Words like these I had heard countless times since I stepped forward to help Lu Changeng overturn the world. Back in my room, I lay in the hot spring pool Lu Changeng had specially built for me once, and the wounds all over my body were stirred awake by the warmth. Fine pain engulfed me, my mind growing increasingly dazed amid the swirling mist. I seemed to return to the day I first arrived in Shengjing, 02. At that time, I was a little snake who had left the deep mountains for love of the mortal world's smoke and fire. Wandering in Shengjing, fond of reading storybooks, I worked as a young assistant in a bookshop at the alley mouth of North Street, and sneaked food from the Fox Sisters roast chicken shop next door when I had nothing to do. Life was quite happy, but the peace in Shengjing did not last long. In his old age, the Emperor of Daliang sought immortality, appointed an evil cultivator as his national teacher, sold official positions and bartered for titles, leaving the people in extreme misery, and the court situation festered to the bone. It was then that Lu Changeng and I met, on a whim. I went to the outskirts of the capital to hunt for prey, but accidentally fell into a forbidden trap set by evil cultivators. Evil cultivators hunted demons to cut out their demon cores alive. For the emperor to refine the so-called elixir of immortality, I was injured by the formation and revealed my true form. Fortunately, Before the evil cultivators arrived, Lu Changeng passed by and broke the formation. Your whole body overflows with spiritual energy. You are a snake with a fate for the Tao. I shall help you along the way. He picked me up and tucked me in his arms, fed me a few pills, and took me to live in a broken temple. Lu Changeng was born in Kunlun Immortal Mountain. A genuine disciple of the Daoist sect, yet instead of becoming a revered immortal master in the mansions of the nobles, he always took on odd jobs for ordinary people. Despite living in straitened circumstances, Lu Changeng was extremely generous to me. Every time he received reward money for fortune-telling and exorcising evil spirits, he would go to the Fox Sisters' shop and buy me a roast chicken, the dueling pills of Kunlun, which were hard to come by even for 1,000 pieces of gold. He fed me like candy beans. In his free time, he would always tap my head lightly. Little snake, you have enough spiritual energy. Why haven't you transformed into a human yet? After speaking, he would hold out a few more dueling pills to my mouth. One day, Lu Changeng returned from exorcising evil spirits, perhaps having met a tough foe with a little injury on his body. It was a rainy summer night. The air was sweltering, and the cicadas chirped noisily. He sat cross-legged on the futon in front of the Buddha statue to heal his wounds, but could not regulate his breath for a long time. I crawled to his side, coiled around him and licked the wound on his chest. Just then, the power of the restriction passed, and I happened to transform into a human form. The snake clan was naturally graceful, and besides, I had cultivated a female body. He only glanced at me once, and Lu Changeng's breath faltered, his whole body growing even hotter. My long hair cascaded down to my icy, jade-like waist, and I stared at him with eyes as black and bright as black jade. Curious, Changeng, do you want to cultivate together? Matters between men and women were nothing to us demons, not to mention he was my benefactor, half persuaded and half willing. Lu Changeng and I ended up in that absurd union. 03. Your Highness requests Miss Wn to come to the front courtyard for a talk. An urgent knock on the door, accompanied by a servant's rough voice, roused me from my old dreams. A few days ago, there was a rebellion by stray soldiers in Huiju, which we had just captured. Lu Changeng ordered me to take care of Jiyu Jinchi, the son of Marquis Chengan dying.Whe, and march south with him to suppress the rebellion. But upon arrival, we learned the intelligence was wrong. Besides ordinary stray soldiers, many evil cultivators had gathered in Huiju. The garrison was ambushed, and Jiyu Jinchi's right leg was bound by the evil cultivator's demon vine, dragging him off his horse. Watching the evil cultivator raise his hand to activate the death formation, I had no choice but to reveal my true form, bite off the demon vine, grab Jiyu Jinchi in my mouth and fly away. This expedition led to almost total annihilation of the army, and Jiyu Jinchi lost a leg. When I brought the half-dead Jiyu Jinchi back in a state of disarray, Lu Changeng, without asking right from wrong, punished me to kneel in the snow in full view of everyone. Now that the Marquis Goose family had come, they would surely demand justice. I replied with a yes, got up, tidied my clothes and followed the servant there. In the main hall, Lu Changeng sat in the high seat, with dying.Whe and several other lords sitting on the sides. dying.Whe commanded 100,000 elite troops of Daliang, and had just been persuaded by Lu Changeng to join his side. As soon as he entered the door, he slammed the table hard, his eyes glaring, demanding I pay with my life for his son. Your Highness, on the battlefield, everyone saw this demon pet of yours reveal its true form and tear off my son's right leg. I beg your Highness to punish her severely. The world is not yet settled. I beg your Highness to draw near to the virtuous and keep away from the sycophantic, not to be blinded by this monster and delay the truly great cause. I beg your Highness to think twice. dying.Whe spoke with unshakable certainty, and the others echoed him in succession. Changeng, it's not like this. Really it's not. I was trying to save him. Kneel down. Lu Changeng frowned, pinched his forehead, and shouted at me sharply. Jiyu Jinchi was still unconscious. I tried my best to explain. But not even Lu Changeng believed me. He drew the demon lockwhip and swung it hard at me in front of everyone. The demon lockwhip was a treasure of Kunlun. Forged with the purest and most upright spiritual energy, a single strike would shatter the primordial spirit of an ordinary little demon. My screams were shrill, yet he did not stop. Finally, after enduring 10 lashes, I could not move, gasping for breath on the ground. Lu Changeng turned to Marquis Jiyu. This whip was what I brought when I descended Kunlun Mountain, pure and upright to the extreme. For demons, it shakes the primordial spirit, bringing excruciating pain that gnaws at the bones and heart. These 10 lashes have stripped her of 100 years of cultivation. Are you all satisfied? The 10 lashes were brutal, leaving the others speechless for a moment, but dying.Whe still wanted to say something. At this moment, another voice rang out in the hall. Father, brother is still unconscious. Even if we want her to be buried with him, we should wait until brother wakes up first. Jiyu Jinyan's voice was soft, yet forceful. As she walked slowly in from outside the house, hearing this, dying.Whe finally sat down. Lu Changeng put away the demon lockwhip, sighed as if a weight had been lifted from his shoulders, and nodded slightly at Jiyu Jinyang. I struggled to lift my head, and happened to catch the two exchanging a glance, greeting each other from afar. Finally, unable to bear the severe pain of my primordial spirit, I fainted completely. 04. In a daze, someone carried me into the hot spring. Pouring a steady stream of spiritual energy into my body, my primordial spirit was severely damaged, and 200 years of cultivation was gone. Unconsciously, I absorbed it ravenously. I do not know how long it was before the excruciating pain finally eased a little. I opened my eyes, and Lu Changeng was holding me tightly. He had always been extremely handsome, and now, his pale face made his delicate grace even more striking. My snake tail had not retracted, coiled around his waist. An ambiguous posture. Seeing me wake up, Lu Changeng asked softly, Wanwan, are you feeling better? Dying.Whe intended to kill you. This is the only way I can protect you. I had not shed a single tear when I was punished to kneel in the snow, nor when Lu Changeng tortured me, but at this moment, tears fell like broken beads, unceasingly. Changeng, tell me, are these 10 lashes enough to repay your life-saving grace back then? Lu Changeng panicked instantly, holding me even tighter. What are you saying, Wanwan? I don't want you to repay me. Have you forgotten, Wanwan? I have sent the betrothal gifts. I am going to marry you. The Jiyu family holds heavy military power. I cannot afford to lose this support. Wanwan, give me a little more time. When all this is over, we will get married. Amid the swirling mist, I looked at the flustered Lu Changeng, and it was as if I saw the shy young cultivator who, after that absurd night, blushed and insisted on betrothing himself to me. The scars left by the demon lockwhip were deep enough to see the bone, yet I still could not harden my heart. I turned my head and said nothing, suddenly remembering the advice the fox sister gave me when she left Shengjing to take refuge in the deep mountains. She said, "Little snake Wanwan, leave when you should. Human hearts are easy to change. Do not be a foolish demon." Now, I had truly become the foolish demon the fox sister spoke of. Suddenly, a servant reported from outside the door. Breaking the silence in the room, "Your Highness, General Jiyu has woken up. He says he requests to see Miss WN at once." 05. Beaten back to my true form by the demon lockwhip, I floated weakly in the hot spring, unable to get up. "Tell General Jiyu, another day." Lu Changeng frowned, pondered for a moment and then spoke. "Wanwan, you still have to go. The battle in Yuju is critical, and the Jiyu family's army is holding the front line right now." I forced a bleak smile, my heart growing colder still. I took the dueling pill from his hand, closed my eyes and said, "Very well, I'll go." Lu Chongqing reached out and carried me out of the hot spring pool. Walking to the courtyard gate, seeing people passing by, he set me down again. I pressed my lips together in silence and stumbled toward Jiyu Jinchi's quarters. dying.Whe and Jiyu Jinyang were not there. When Jiyu Jinchi saw me, he struggled to sit up with the servant's support and thanked me, noticing I could barely stand. He quickly told the servants to hold me up. "From your injuries, Miss Wn, you suffered terribly in Huiju too. It was thoughtless of me to summon you here in such a hurry. It was not Huiju. Then where?" I lowered my eyes and said nothing, but a young servant beside Jiyu Jinchi spoke up indignantly, telling him the whole story. Jiyu Jinchi flew into a rage when he heard, "If it weren't for Miss Wn, I would have died at the hands of that evil cultivator then. Father has gone too far with this nonsense." Having just woken from his coma, he was already weak, and the shock of this news nearly made him faint again. Just then, dying.Whe and Jiyu Jinyang arrived upon hearing the news. Seeing me there, dying.Whe raised his hand and struck me across the cheek. "You monster who maimed my son, yet you still draw breath. Kneel at once." "Father, stop. Miss Wn saved me then. If not for her, not even a whole corpse of mine would remain." Jiyu Jinchi raised his hand to stop him, then hastened to apologize to me. dying.Whe still snorted coldly. "So what? The crown prince sent her there to protect you in the first place. You lost a leg, she ought to pay with her life." Shape-shifting demons were rare in the world, and one with my profound cultivation even more so. Even after Lu Chongqing stripped me of 100 years of cultivation, with my magic power, killing everyone in this room would have been effortless. But Lu Chongqing needed the Jiyu family now. I could only suppress my demonic instinct for self-preservation and turn to walk out the door. Jiyu Jinchi was a man of gentle integrity. On the march south to suppress the rebellion, he had looked after me well, seeing me as a leading general, a comrade in arms on the battlefield, not a seductive monster. A pet. I had not walked far when I suddenly remembered the dueling pills might help heal Jiyu Jinchi's wounds. I turned back to his quarters, but as soon as I reached the door, I heard dying.Whe's voice. Who could have imagined that Lu Chongqing, a nameless posthumous son of the late emperor living in exile, could achieve what he has today with such deep scheming and unwavering resolve? Though our Jiyu family has boarded his ship, we must guard against him casting us aside once he crosses the river. Do you know, Chia, your sister came here not merely to visit you. When he came to our manor earlier, the only condition I set was a marriage with Jinyang. Everyone knows this demon and Lu Chongqing have an improper relationship. Anyone, human or demon, who blocks the Jiyu family's path deserves to die. 06. Was this the promise Lu Chongqing had made when he persuaded dying.Whe to ally with him? Then why did he keep telling me not to forget our marriage vow? Back in my room, I took out the jade hairpin Lu Chongqing had given me as a betrothal gift once. He had said it was the only thing he had left from his mother, his most precious possession. I stroked the hairpin, and a sudden metallic tang rose in my throat. The breath I had held back for so long burst forth as fresh blood, dripping onto the translucent green jade hairpin. When spring came, Jiyu Jinchi's wounds improved, and he left for Yuju with dying.Whe, while Jiyu Jinyang stayed behind. Lu Chongqing began taking Jiyu Jinyang out frequently, sometimes in riding attire, sometimes holding a string of rabbit lanterns. They always went out smiling and returned filled with joy. The servants all whispered that the manor would soon have a mistress, yet by day Lu Chongqing accompanied Jiyu Jinyang, and by night he came to my room every single day. He said he loved only me, and his time with Jiyu Jinyang was merely a pretense for the sake of appearances. I knew he was afraid his actions toward the Jiyu family for the sake of the throne would break my heart. In the intimacy of the bedchamber, he began gasping to ask if I loved him. If I hesitated or fell silent for even a moment, His thrusts from behind grew harder and harder with each passing second. These days did not last long. After I struggled to shed my skin for the last time that spring in the hot spring, an urgent military report arrived from the front. The national teacher of Shengjing had gone to Yezhou in person, and with some dark magic unknown, the tide of the battle had suddenly turned on the city we were on the verge of capturing. Worse still, the army stationed nearby had been struck by a strange illness, and the soldiers were dying one after another. Born of Kunlun Immortal Mountain, Lu Changeng was the only one who could counter the evil cultivator's dark magic. He hastily gathered 3,000 soldiers and prepared to march to Yezhou, but barely half a month after their departure, the left colonel who had accompanied Lu Changeng to Yezhou fled back in a panic, reporting that the army had fallen into an ambush set by the national teacher of Shengjing. Almost all 3,000 soldiers were killed or wounded, and Lu Changeng was missing without a trace. The national teacher of Shengjing wielded many dark arts. His magic power not to be underestimated. Changeng was surely in mortal danger. I had to go save him. I packed a simple bundle and was about to leave when Jiyu Jinyang arrived at my quarters with a large retinue of servants. Miss Wanwan, I have sent a letter to father, urging him to send men to search at once, but messenger stations take too long to deliver letters, and I fear for Changeng. Miss Wanwan, you are no ordinary person, blessed with extraordinary powers. I beg you to save brother Changeng. I will save Changeng regardless. There is no need for such formality. Miss Jiyu, thank you. Miss Wanwan, this is my personal jade pendant. If you have need of anything, you may use it to seek aid from the Jiyu family's army. Jiyu Jinyan's words were earnest, as if she and Lu Changeng were already husband and wife, and I was merely an outsider, yet I still accepted the pendant. The national teacher of Shengjing was no easy foe. An extra card up my sleeve was always a good thing. I followed the trail of the army day and night until I reached Yezhou's borders, and finally found the dying Lu Changeng at the bottom of a cliff, but I was not the only one who had found him. I crossed paths with men sent by the national teacher of Shengjing to track Lu Changeng right at the cliff's base. Their eyes lit up the moment they saw me, a shape-shifting spirit snake. With 400 years of cultivation, this demon core is the creme de la creme. At once, the evil cultivators swarmed forward, unleashing all manner of talismans and spells against me. My body had not yet fully recovered, and fighting while carrying the unconscious Lu Changeng on my back was an immense struggle. Fortunately, they wanted both to kill Lu Changeng once and for all and to capture me alive to cut out my demon core. So they held back in their attacks, and I managed to gain the upper hand. But when the evil cultivators saw they could not defeat me after a long fight, they hardened their hearts and prepared to set up a death formation to wipe both Lu Changeng and me out together. I seized my chance. As they chanted incantations and drew talismans with their hands, I revealed my true form. With a swing of my snake tail, I slammed into the weakest cultivator among them, finally tearing a hole in the overwhelming formation and fleeing with Lu Changeng in tow. Yezhou bordered Yuzhou. I did not dare stop for a moment, fleeing all the way to the borders of Yuzhou city. I banged on the gate of the Jiyu family's garrison, and then my spiritual power was completely exhausted. I collapsed to the ground and fainted. 07. When I woke from my coma, the first thing I asked was about Lu Changeng's whereabouts, and I hurried to him at once. Lu Changeng's injuries were stable for the time being, and he had even woken up before me. As I entered the room, Jiyu Jinyang was sitting by his bed, holding a bowl of medicinal soup and blowing on it gently, then pressing it to Lu Changeng's lips to feed him. Changeng, are you all right? Wanwan, I'm fine. I owe my life to Jinyang this time. If Jinyang had not rushed to Yezhou in time, found me at the bottom of the cliff, and stayed by my bed to attend to me day and night without resting, I would have died in Yezhou. Jiyu Jinyang. What did she have to do with any of this? It was I who had ventured into the bottom of the cliff in Yezhou alone, who had escaped the evil cultivator's siege and attack by a hair's breadth, and who had brought Lu Changeng back safely. I stared straight at Jiyu Jinyang and said in a cold voice, "Changeng, it was not her. I saved you." Jiyu Jinyang's expression did not change, but her maid suddenly spoke up to accuse me. "What nonsense are you talking about, Miss Wanwan? It was clearly our young lady who saved the Crown Prince. You failed to find the Crown Prince and got injured instead. Our young master even carried you in when you fainted at the gate of the Jiyu Manor." Lu Changeng chimed in, "Wanwan, when I was rescued at the bottom of the cliff, I dazedly grabbed a tassel. When I woke up, I saw it was Jinyan's personal jade pendant. I reached for my waist, and the jade pendant was indeed gone, probably torn off in the fight." At Lu Changeng's words, the maid's expression grew even more contemptuous. I was about to say more, but then I saw Lu Changeng look up at Jiyu Jinyang with gratitude and tenderness. Their eyes met, and Jiyu Jinyang lowered her head shyly. I laughed at myself. Forget it. Who the real savior was no longer mattered now. My spirit snake clan valued promises and honor. Now, I had repaid Lu Changeng's life-saving grace. I would wait until he rescued his mother and ascended the throne soon enough. And then I would have kept my original promise and put an end to this absurd love. 08. Word came from Shengjing. The old emperor was dying, his days numbered. No wonder the evil cultivator national teacher could no longer hold back and had made his move. Not even 1,000 demon cores could keep the old emperor alive now. Yuzhou lay south of Shengjing, a strategic choke point controlling all the southern prefectures under Shengjing's rule. Yezhou, to the west of Shengjing, was the only thoroughfare for trade between Daliang and the western regions. The Jiyu family's army had full control of Yuzhou. After waking up, Lu Changeng also managed to lift the siege of Yezhou. Seeing the tide of the battle turn irrevocably against him, the national teacher slunk away from Daliang in disgrace. Those who walk the path of injustice gain no allies. Lu Changeng marched unimpeded into Shengjing city. Taking all the city's passes with ease, he rescued his mother, who had been imprisoned in a side hall of the Chenqian Palace, and pointed his long sword at the feeble man propped up on the dragon throne. "I told you one day I would come to claim your worthless life. Truly a bastard born of a whore. I should never have pitied that whore when you were born. I should have killed you then and there, to eliminate all future trouble. Unfortunately, it is too late for that now. I killed your elder brother with my own hands. I forced your sister-in-law to submit to me year after year, tearing your family apart forever. I think it is you who is too late." Ha 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 ha. The man laughed maniacally, his laughter soon dissolving into uncontrollable sobs and tears. Lu Changeng's long sword sliced through the air, blood gurgled from the man's throat. He stared toward Lu Changeng's mother, mumbled the name Yuhua a few times, and breathed his last. Yuhua was Lu Changeng's mother's name. Yet at the sight of the emperor's death, she felt no joy at all. Tears streamed down her pale face, her eyes brimming with profound grief. After settling his soldiers, Lu Changeng snuck me into the Yongshou Palace, where his mother had just moved. That night, he took my hand and led me before her. "Mother, this is Wanwan. I have made up my mind. She is the only wife I will ever have. I bring her to meet you." I had thought that coming from a noble family and having lived in the palace for so long, Lu Changeng's mother would hold prejudice against demons. But to my surprise, she only smiled, stroked Lu Changeng's and my cheeks gently, then placed our hands together. "If that is your wish, you must support each other from now on. Walk this path well together. Never follow in the footsteps of your father and me." 09. It seemed all was settled. Yet on the very night we left, Lu Changeng's mother hanged herself in the Yongshou Palace with a length of white silk. The woman left a suicide note. It turned out that she and the mad emperor had been true childhood sweethearts once. Alas, born into a general's family, Her fate was sealed the moment she drew breath. She was destined to marry the crown prince of the dynasty. The late emperor was the eldest legitimate son, and the woman had married him bearing the mission and hopes of her clan. But her childhood sweetheart had believed his elder brother and his beloved had betrayed him together. He had plotted in secret for years, and at last, succeeded in killing his brother, seizing his wife, and ascending the throne. He had loved her, and he had hated her too. He had provided her with silken garments and fine food, yet he had violated her brutally every night. Everyone had believed Lu Changeng to be the late emperor's posthumous son, but in truth, the late emperor had treated the woman with the utmost propriety after their marriage, never overstepping a single boundary. The child she carried was his, the mad emperor's, because Lu Changeng had been born premature. No matter how the woman explained, the man, blinded by hatred, had never believed her. He had let the child be bullied in the palace, and when he was still a young boy, had simply handed him over to a strange Taoist wandering in Shengjing and cast him out of the palace. Lu Changgeng's mother was dead. He had killed his own father with his own hands, his biological father. Lu Changgeng collapsed into my arms, his hands hanging limply at his sides. First he stifled quiet sobs, then broke into desperate, wailing cries. It was the first time I had seen him cry so bitterly, and my heart ached for him, tight and sore. Did I really have to leave him now? I sighed silently, unable to answer the question in my heart, but Lu Changgeng made the choice for me soon enough. After the funeral, Lu Changgeng ascended the throne. The first imperial edict he issued after his first court session was to the Jiyu family. He named Jiyu Jinyang his empress. He said to me, "Wanwan, without power in my hands, I cannot protect anyone. dying.Whe is arrogant and overbearing. To take what you desire, you must first give it. Wait for me a little longer." I could not fathom the twists and turns of human fame and fortune. My clan of spirit snakes has always believed in one mate for a lifetime. I had waited for Lu Changgeng for far, far too long. Some choices speak louder than words of one's heart. Moreover, there was now so much in Lu Changgeng's eyes that I could not understand. I even began to doubt whether his mistaking Jiyu Jinyang for his savior had been a deliberate ploy to reassure the Jiyu family. After all, Jiyu Jinyang was a delicate young lady who could not even lift a chicken. How could she have the courage and strength to venture into danger alone to save someone? As clever as Lu Changgeng was, he could not have failed to see that. But in any case, I no longer wanted to wait. 10. Changgeng, I have repaid your life-saving grace, and the toil of these years as well. I want to go home. Wanwan, what are you saying? I do not understand. This is your home. I want to go back to Chilling Mountain. Lu Changgeng grabbed my arm tightly, his panic impossible to conceal. No, you cannot leave. You said you would never leave me. Have you forgotten? Wanwan, we promised to marry each other. I wrenched free of his grip. Changgeng, the time has come. Our feast, our time together ends today. Lu Changgeng did not chase after me. He only hung his head and whispered, "You cannot leave." Why? I looked into his defeated, mad eyes, and a chill shot through my heart. I cried inwardly that something was terribly wrong, and hastily channeled my spiritual power to check my demon core. A clear contract seal loomed distinctly on my golden demon core. It was a lost secret art of Kunlun. A demon bound by such a contract could never break free from the cultivator who had sealed it unless the demon died. He had taken advantage of the time when my primordial spirit was gravely injured, when he was channeling spiritual energy into me, to forge the contract in secret. Lu Changgeng stepped forward slowly and embraced me, planting countless soft kisses on my neck. Wanwan, wait for me a little longer. I will marry you. We will be together forever. To be bound in a contract with a human was to be truly subservient, to lose one's freedom for all eternity. For a high-ranking demon who had already achieved human form, it was an unforgivable humiliation. Born of Kunlun, Lu Changeng could not have failed to know what the contract meant, yet he had done it anyway. He unfastened the sash at my waist, slipped his hand inside my robes, and kissed me gently from top to bottom. His movements were soft, his affection tender, but I only felt rigid all over, as if I had fallen into an ice cave. 11. I was just plotting how to escape when Jiyu Jinyang suddenly sent a maid to the Linhua palace with a tonic, saying it was a specially refined elixir to mend the primordial spirit. I opened the sandalwood box and sniffed it. There was a faint, familiar whiff of Chilling Mountain in the pill. Could the medicinal herbs have been plucked from Chilling Mountain? But there was also an overpowering, strange yet familiar scent that was impossible to ignore. I took the medicine and hurried to find Jiyu Jinyang. When I saw her, I held out the box. Miss Jiyu, I appreciate your kindness, but please take the medicine back. She waved a hand, telling the maid to take it away, and asked with obvious interest, have you tried it yet? When I shook my head, her face fell with disappointment. What a pity. This medicine seems truly extraordinary. Could you tell me, Miss Jiyu, which medicinal herbs it is made of? Take one pill, and I will tell you. As I hesitated, Jiyu Jinyang suddenly let out a soft laugh. She was still young, with a pair of dark, clear deer eyes beneath her curved eyebrows and a shallow dimple in her cheek. She looked noble and lovely, but when her red lips parted, the words that came out were unspeakably vicious and cruel. She picked up a pill at random and twirled it between her fingers. This was specially prepared for you by my father. The snake dens by the heavenly lake on Chilling Mountain, we plucked their scales and cut their flesh while those monsters were still alive. I heard that demons heal the fastest when nourished by the bones and blood of their own kind. Why are you throwing away my kind gesture, Miss Wanwan? Their magic power is not as profound as yours, but they were no easy foes. We lost several great generals under my father's command to make this medicine. The heavenly lake on Chilling Mountain, my childhood companions, all my clan, made their home there. How dare she? How could she lay a hand on them? Rage flared in my heart, and my spiritual power burst forth uncontrollably. With a casual wave of my hand, I sent the maids beside Jiyu Jinyang crashing to the ground, then grabbed her by the throat with a tight grip. You dared to touch them, then you shall pay with your life. Fear flashed in Jiyu Jinyang's eyes, her legs trembling violently, but she still forced the words out. Cough, cough. You are nothing but a lowly demon. What right do you have to share the palace with me as a consort? Even when I got Changeng brother drunk and led him to bed, he called your name in his passion. You deserve to die. I squeezed harder. Jiyu Jinyang's face turned deathly pale, her hands flailing wildly as she neared suffocation. Stop! A flash of white light cut through the air, and a surge of pure spiritual energy sent me crashing to the ground. Jiyu Jinyang cowered in Lu Changeng's arms in a panic. Changeng brother, save me. I only sent medicine to Miss Wanwan out of kindness, but she went mad and tried to kill me. Lu Changeng shouted at me sharply. Jinyang only worried about your primordial spirit's injuries. How could you treat her like this? I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth. Lu Changeng, do you know what this pill is made of? It is the flesh and blood of the spirit snakes of Chilling Mountain. She slaughtered my clan by the heavenly lake on Chilling Mountain. I only want her life in return. What of it? Before the words left my mouth, I formed a killing seal in my hand and lunged at Jiyu Jinyang. Lu Changeng threw himself in front of her to block the blow. Bound by the contract to him, harming him would bring a backlash of double my own magic power upon me. I struggled to my feet. Lu Changeng was shielding Jiyu Jinyang tightly behind him. I let out a cold laugh, pulled out the jade hairpin Lu Changeng had given me as a betrothal gift back in Xingjing, and squeezed it hard with my fingers. A crisp crack rang out, glistening jade shards scattered across the floor. Lu Changeng, from this day forth, our bond is as broken as this hairpin. 12. Whether he could not bear to face me, or believed the contract would keep me trapped forever. Lu Chang'ing did not come to the Linhua Palace for a long time. It was the perfect chance for me to plan my escape, but what I did not expect was that the one who would help me was Jiyu Jinshi. Jiyu Jinshi and Jiyu Jinyang were not born of the same mother. Jiyu Jinshi's mother had been a crane demon who had forged a contract with dying.Whe, yet managed to escape the Marquis's manor. He said he could not bear to see me fall into the same miserable fate as his mother, but he set a condition before telling me the way to break the contract. I hope you will spare dying.Whe and Jiyu Jinyan's lives, Miss Wanwan, but to break the contract, and to avenge the blood debt of the Chilling Mountain Snake clan, I had no choice but to pretend to agree to Jiyu Jinshi's terms. Breaking the contract required shattering my demon core and forging it anew. During this process, my spiritual power would remain at the level of a young snake for a long time. I would be almost defenseless against any harm, let alone escape Lu Chang'ing. The only plan now was to fake my death when I shattered my demon core to break the contract's bonds, switch identities to return to Chilling Mountain, and slowly recover there. Jiyu Jinshi and I set the date for the Emperor and Empress's wedding day. On that day, the harem would be nearly empty, and most of the imperial guards would be stationed at the West Strait Gate to protect the heaven worship ceremony. It would be the perfect time. On the night before the wedding, Lu Chang'ing came to the Linhua Palace suddenly. He seemed to be drunk, and he shoved me onto the bed in a frenzy. As he nipped and kissed my skin, calling my name over and over again. Wanwan, 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 be good. Give me a little more time. When all this is over, I will marry you. But Lu Chang'ing did not know that for him and me, there was no more time left. The next day, Jiyu Jinshi brought a green snake's corpse to the Linhua Palace from nowhere, and handed me the secret contract-breaking art left by his mother. I channeled my spiritual power according to the secret method. The demon core in my body swelled and trembled incessantly. At last, in a burst of excruciating pain, the demon core shattered, its fragments gathered in my dantian by a wisp of milky white mist. Jiyu Jinshi gently placed me, now transformed into a small snake, in his arms. Before leaving, he set a fire in the Linhua Palace, then drove the carriage toward Chilling Mountain. Behind us, smoke and dust billowed, and towering flames raged, but at long last, all of this was no longer my concern. 13. It was the fox sister who took me from Jiyu Jin's
throne, to grasp all power in his hands. How could this be? How could it have come to this? Seeing the shock on my face, Jiyu Jinshi added, if you do not believe me, Miss Wanwan, you may go and see for yourself. But one thing, Lu Chang'ing is not himself anymore. Do not let him discover your trace. I nodded, told him to wait for me at the temple, and turned to head for the palace. 14. I disguised myself as a young maid of the Chenqian Palace, changed my features with magic, and carried a tray of tea and pastries into Lu Chang'ing's sleeping quarters. Following the other maids and eunuchs, talismans were scattered all over the floor of the vast chamber, and soul-summoning streamers hung from the beams. Lu Chang'ing slouched on the ground, his face even paler than Jiyu Jinshi's, who was locked in the Ministry of Punishment's prison. The head eunuch asked timidly, Your Majesty, would you care for some tea? Lu Chang'ing did not reply. Suddenly, he slammed the teacup the eunuch held onto the ground. Everyone dropped to their knees, prostrating themselves, their bodies trembling with overwhelming fear. Lu Chang'ing pointed at the head eunuch. Tell me, will my Wanwan come back to me? She will return, Your Majesty. Consort Wn surely cannot bear to leave you. She will definitely come back. Suddenly, Lu Chang'ing pointed at me. You lift your head. Tell me, will she come back? I raised my head and stared straight at Lu Chang'ing. Your Majesty, she shall not return. At my answer, a collective gasp echoed through the chamber. Everyone bowed their heads lower, pressing their foreheads to the ground. Then tell me, why will Wanwan not come back? I have avenged her. I have kept the Empress's throne for her. She told me we would be one pair for a lifetime, and I never intended to break that promise. Tell me, why will she not come back? Your Majesty, death ends all things under heaven. though the mountain alliance remains, the brocade letter cannot be sent. In all the affairs of the world, when the moment is lost, one must accept fate. Lu Changeng fell silent for a long time after hearing my words, then waved his hand at us, bidding us to leave. I turned and walked out of the palace gate, my heart filled with bitter sorrow. But between Lu Changeng and me lay the 100 years of cultivation scattered by 10 lashes of the demon lock whip, the blood feud of my slaughtered clan, the excruciating pain of my demon cause reforging, and a sincere heart I had laid bare for him only to have it crushed to pieces. We could never turn back. 15. dying.Whe adapted wonderfully to life on Chilling Mountain. As a half-demon, he began to cultivate magic by the spiritual energy-rich heavenly lake. And his old leg wound slowly healed under the nourishment of spiritual energy. My journey in the mortal world had cost me my spirit snake clan, but all the living beings of Chilling Mountain could become my kin. Freed from the fetters of the Daoist heart, my extraordinary cultivation talent shone even brighter. In merely 10 years, my magic power advanced by leaps and bounds, and I became a great demon capable of protecting a region and bringing peace to its people. The pear blossoms by the heavenly lake bloomed and fell, year after year. When news of Lu Changeng's death reached Chilling Mountain from Shengjing, I realized I had not thought of him in a long, long time. Sister Wanwan, someone has broken into Chilling Mountain. A young tiger demon rushed into the heavenly lake in a fluster. I looked up and asked, "Where are they? Have you captured them?" The young tiger demon scratched his head. "Of course we did. There are few men in armor. But they said they were only sent to deliver something by order." With that, he opened the box in his hand and handed it to me. Inside the box was a translucent green jade hairpin, pieced together from shards. I gently took the hairpin and stared at it in a daze for a long time. In a blur, I seemed to see the young man who had once taken out this hairpin with a blushing face, saying solemnly that he wished to marry me. At that moment, a sudden mountain wind surged, sending a shower of pear blossom petals fluttering down from the trees. I brushed the petals that had fallen onto my hand away, and raised my hand to insert the hairpin into my hair. What begins with an orchid bloom ends with catkins scattered, like stars scattered and rain falling. We parted ways. If there was no fate between us in this life, then let us form a new bond, may it be in the next life.